Hi, this is Mike with Skull Dynasty. Today we're going to go over my Dynasty rankings now that the draft has been completed. We'll go over each position group and what my thoughts are about each prospect. So we'll start out with quarterback. The guys I like quarterback haven't changed too drastically. I still have C.J. Stroud as my number one. He lands in with the Texans, which is a bad situation. But you just have to trust the process. He's really good. His size is good. His accuracy is really good. So you just have to. He might not be a high ceiling guy, but he's going to be a consistent quarterback. So that's why I have him as my quarterback one still. He might not be good year one, but hopefully down the road they add some weapons to help him out. The second guy I have on my list is going to be Bryce Young. He lands in an okay situation. His receivers aren't the best. He's got old Adam Thielen, DJ Shark. Marshall hasn't proven anything. So I hear a lot of people saying that the Panthers are a good landing spot because of the offensive linemen and the running backs. But honestly, the receiving situation isn't that great in Carolina. I have CJ Stroud as my number two. I really liked what I seen on film with Bryce Young. Um, some things he could do really well are stuff that Russell Wilson did when he was younger. Move around a little bit, find the open man downfield, a little bit on the shorter side. I like him. He'll be consistent quarterback, I think. Stroud and Young, both of them guys at the top. I think they'll be more consistent players. They might not have the upside because the group around them ain't that great, but you just gotta have faith that the organization will bring some playmakers around them shortly within the next couple years. Same thing with like a Justin Field situation, how they improved their team drastically the last year or so. We'll bring in players. You hope that happens. Next guy on my list is A. Rich. Lands in a pretty decent spot. He has Jonathan Taylor as his running back, Pittman. They brought in Josh Downs. Jelani Woods is also an excellent player, and Pierce. So he's got a good group around him. I still have him as my number three. He's a little inconsistent for me. I'm more the school of consistent players, and I think A. Rich is going to be an up and down player, almost like Justin Fields, Lamar Jackson. They can hit a really high ceiling one week. They can give you 40 points, and then the next week give you six. Them players kind of scare me because they could win you a week, but they could also lose you a week. Next up on my list is Will Levis. He didn't even get drafted in the first round, so that's kind of a guy I would stay away from, in the first round of your rookie drafts in Superflex. And then Hooker would be my number five guy. Landing with the Lions will be behind Goff for at least a year or so. Goff's a really good player. I don't even know if Hooker will ever take a starting job, to be honest. And with Levis, um, I don't know. With Tannehill there, Malik Willis, I'm not sure what's going to happen there as well. But I'm sure Levis will get a shot. Hooker, I don't know. I don't know about that one. Running backs, my rankings, obviously, Bijan lands in a good spot with Atlanta. Um, I really like that landing spot because that's all the Falcons do is run the ball and smash mouth football. So I'm sure he'll get plenty of touches there. And they're also pretty creative because they had Cordell Patterson as the running back previous. And they used him out of the backfield a lot, and that would be good for Bijan as well. What I seen on film, his numbers don't really add up to a good receiver, but I seen on film, he's a really good receiver, and not just in the short passing game. You could send him out on deep down the field. So I really like that spot for Bijan. Obviously, he's pretty much consensus pick number one, so nothing changed there. Gibbs, I was really shocked that Gibbs landing at 12 to Detroit for a number of reasons. He's not a bigger back. I thought he would get second round draft capital from the NFL, to be honest. Plus, they had Swift and Montgomery there. I just thought it was a really weird move by Detroit, but I think they're just were out on Swift, and maybe they really like Jahmyr Gibbs' film. I really like Gibbs' film as well. I thought he was really explosive whenever he had a hole in the offensive line. He could take it to the house at any time. Um, he is really, really good in the receiving game as well. So that can give him a really high ceiling. I mentioned that in my previous videos. The only thing I don't like about Gibbs is his underweight, so I don't even know if he'll get 50% of the carries in Detroit, with especially with Montgomery there. I think Montgomery, I would even say a 55-45 split, and I'm leaning more towards Montgomery getting the majority of the carries, to be honest. So obviously they're going to try and use Gibbs in the passing game, in creative ways. Detroit's a pretty smart organization, so I think he'll get plenty of touches in the receiving game on third down, and he'll get some touches with the draft capital he got. He'll get an opportunity on first and second down as well. They'll probably rotate backs like most teams do nowadays with running back by committee. Third guy on my list is Zach Charbonnet. I think it's a good move by Seattle, to be honest with you. With the way running backs go down left and right, I think it was a really smart move, especially Seattle likes to run the ball a lot, and running back injuries, 17-game season. You definitely need more than one running back because only about a quarter of them last the whole season. So Charbonnet will probably get a start sometime during the season, and it's good for Walker as well. It will keep his miles a little bit lower. I still expect Walker to get the majority of share. I would expect somewhere around 60-40 split between the two backs. Which is good. It'll keep both of them fresh. I really like Charbonnet. He went down a little bit in my rankings, obviously, because he's going to be a backup. And Gibbs went up in my rankings a little bit with that top, first round draft capital. You have to move him up. I'm not afraid to do that. And the next guy on my list is Kendre Miller. It went to the Saints. Early, I think he was a 71st pick in the draft, early third round. So he got pretty decent draft capital there. I like the landing spot as well because Alvin Kamara's situation, he's going to miss some time most likely. And Kamara's getting older, and Jamal Williams isn't getting any younger either. I think he's like 28 now. So I could see Kendre Miller getting, especially, I don't think the beginning of the season they'll use him as much, but I think he could be a guy at the end of the season, maybe like the final 8 games, that could really push your dynasty teams over the edge if Kamara's out and if Jamal Williams goes down or can't handle the full workload. He'll definitely get his share of carries, I think. He might get, when all three of them are healthy, I would lean towards maybe like 20-30%. If one of them goes down, he could receive at least 50% of the share, I think. I really liked him on film as well, so he would be my running back 4. The next guy on my list is going to be Tajay Spears. He lands behind Derrick Henry, so I wouldn't expect a large workload unless Henry goes down. So I would expect anywhere, maybe 20% of the workload, maybe even lower than that. They probably want to keep Henry a little bit fresher since he's getting older, so I could see them switch to maybe 65-35 split. I really like Tajay Spears on film, but when I looked at the data and analyzed everything, he reminds me a little bit of CAH, so I wouldn't get your hopes up too much. with his 40 time. I really liked what I seen on film from him, but I've been hurt in the past by looking at this film, and I keep an eye on that. Rondell Moore, I really liked him on film, and I liked, but I'm glad my gut told me to stay away from him and go with the four other running backs above him in 2020, even though majority of them ended up getting hurt all the time, but I think they were just better prospects. So the next guy on my list is Tank Bigsby. With Travis Etienne, he gets injured every once in a while, so good landing spot for Bigsby. He'll probably get a few games started. Wasn't too high on Bigsby, but since he got the third round draft capital, you got to move him up. Next guy on my list is Devin Ashane out of he went to the Finns. Pretty good landing spot because the Finns run the ball really well with Mostart, Jeff Wilson. Them guys ain't getting any younger, so I could see them having a good season. Not really high on them because of the weight. I like to stay away from guys. They're 188 pounds, so that's why he's a little bit lower on the list as compared to Bigsby and Spears. Spears is a little bit bigger. I think he's like 15 pounds heavier than A-Shame. Bigsby, I think, came in around 215. My wide receivers, obviously, really high on JSN. JSN's one of my favorite prospects. Watching the film, the analytics on him. He's going to be the third wide receiver. So Seattle's going to be a really fun watch because they added more weapons on offense with Charbonnet. And, three excellent receivers with Metcalf, Lockett, and JSN. And JSN, he's just a beast. I loved what I watched on film. Great. He's a smart player. So he's still my number one receiver in this draft. Next guy on my list is Jordan Addison. He goes to Minnesota. Minnesota is a great landing spot. They always draft pretty well. There's certain teams in the NFL I like to stay. I get a lot of players from these teams. There are three teams that I really like players from. Usually the Steelers, the Vikings, and the Ravens. They're really good at drafting, and they know what they're doing. So they're teams that I like to get players from. So I love the landing spot. Obviously, they're going to be rolling coverage on Jefferson, so it's going to make it a little bit easier on Addison's side as well. The next guy on my list is going to be Zay Flowers, landing in Baltimore. Obviously, to have OBJ and Bateman, two guys that can't stay healthy, so he might get he might get the most targets, yards, receptions for the Ravens this year as a wideout. Obviously, Mark Andrews will be, the target share leader unless something happens. He goes down. I really like Zay Flowers on film as well. Just a nasty player. He's just fast. He just has that attitude he brings to the game that you could just tell he's going to be a good football player. Him and Spears kind of had like the same vibes for me. They just look like good players. And the next guy on my list is Quentin Johnson. I'm not really big on Quentin Johnson. The landing spot, he lands with Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. Obviously, he's connected to Justin Herbert, which is good. But I just seen too many inconsistencies in this game. One game he'll go for 100 yards receiving. The next game will be non-existent. I don't know if it was just TCU's offense. He's a guy I'm staying away from. He's fourth on my list. He got the first round draft capital. And basically that just sums up everything of all my position tiers and everything like that. If you want me to do some type of video, just let me know in the comments below. Please like and subscribe, and have a great day.